Okay guys, so it's been a while since I made a video on CodeSmash and I think it's time I made an update. So basically what I've been doing recently is just redesign of the whole website, and I'm actually nearing the end of the redesign, and yeah, it's going to be ready quite soon. So let's just go over what I've done recently. Yeah, so as you can see, the landing page, I've added a couple of things here, a couple of links. The link to the blog is here. Tutorials that you can see here. Tutorials are going to be on adding a new account, importing a stack, and deploying a REST API. So these three are here, even though they're not complete yet. They're still missing screenshots. I'm also going to add a YouTube video for each tutorial, and yeah, that's that. So this is all work in progress. You can go to the GitHub account right here. So inside the repository, so basically all the CodeSmash modules for deploying your apps are located here. So this is all open source, and there's going to be a lifetime deal, which means you're basically going to just pay only once. Once you pay that, and you can use CodeSmash forever. So there's going to be three plans: the personal, the business, and the enterprise. And it starts in 2 days. And you should go and visit the SaaS Warrior Facebook group. And this is where I'm going to be updating on the lifetime deal. And it's going to be a timed exclusive for this particular Facebook group. And after that, I'm just going to advertise everywhere. So that's that as far as the lifetime deal goes. What I've done here recently regarding the actual apps that you can launch on CodeSmash. So since I've been doing the redesign, most of the apps that you could have launched previously, right, like the website hosting, you cannot launch it right now. As you can see, pretty much everything here is marked as coming soon, except the REST API. You can do that. You can launch the API, and once the lifetime deal launches, this is going to be the first app that you can launch, right? Your REST API, and then after that, I'm going to continue with the stuff that like I said, you have here, right, in the CodeSmash GitHub repository. So all these things will be able to be launched when I integrate them into the new UI, the redesigned UI. So some cool things that I've also decided to do is add a Next.js, boilerplate. So basically, you're just going to have a already completely set up Next.js application. You're basically just gonna launch it through CodeSmash, and yeah, that's going to be that. Then I'm gonna integrate Stripe payments with the webhooks. So basically, it's gonna be for one-time payments, and for subscriptions, you will immediately be able to use that for your app. Then the thing that I already had, that was web hosting, and then I'm gonna add a couple of databases like relational databases and so on, like regular React apps and so on and so forth, like and GraphQL APIs as well, since these are also quite popular. Moving on. Yes, I'm also going to support doing all of this through the CLI. So basically, even though I'm doing a no-code first approach where you're doing everything through the website, if you're an actual developer who's used to writing code, you can just download the CodeSmash CLI through npm, and you'll be able to just deploy whatever you want directly from the CLI. No need to actually visit the website and do anything here. But yeah, that's probably gonna be ready next year. So the next thing that I want people to understand is that CodeSmash is, as you can clearly see here, it's an all-in-one solution. And on average, you're probably going to be saving around $137 monthly in subscription costs. So the idea is that instead of using all of these, services, no-code services like Zeno for backends, then you got Netlify, then you have Vercel for hosting your websites, right? You've got MongoDB, and you've got Supabase, and so on and so forth. Instead of having all of those services and paying each service, having a monthly fee. You will basically just have CodeSmash, and CodeSmash is going to use AWS services that can replicate every single one of these no-code services. And you're not going to have any limits. So, for example, Zeno has a starter $99 monthly plan, and you've got limits on how much data you can use, how much data you can transfer, both for the media, right, like the files that you can host and the database data. With CodeSmash, that's going to be non-existent. So there's absolutely no data limits, no anything. Same thing goes for Vercel. There are limits there as well on how many projects you can have, how many websites you can host. With CodeSmash, again, the limit is absolutely zero. Pretty much you'll be able to replace all of these and more, these services, with simply having one subscription to CodeSmash, or like I said, paying a one-time fee and just using it forever. And you will only pay your usage fees to AWS, which is almost non-existent. And for the first year, you're actually on the free tier plan with AWS, so you're not going to pretty much be paying anything. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to add some integrations for all of these no-code services. Basically, if you launch your API, you'll be able to immediately use it in Bubble, Webflow, and so on. So yeah, recently I got a client for $500 monthly subscription. I'm working with the client and just helping them out as much as I can. So that's something great. The payment is here, and yeah, pretty much everything else is the same on the landing page. Not much has changed here, but once you log in and go to your profile, you'll see that now we have a completely redesigned profile page, which means that the three most important things that you see here that make CodeSmash work is actually your apps, your stacks, and your accounts. So the first thing that you will need to do is add your account, right? Your AWS account, and then CodeSmash can add your apps. The apps are basically based on the code that's hosted in GitHub, right? So these are basically the stacks, and you can see them here, right? If you just click here on the link, yeah, you can just go here, and it's completely open source. So every stack is open source, and every stack, once you launch it, it becomes your app on your AWS account. It's as simple as that. So like I said, all of these are marked as coming soon, except the REST API, which is really going to be the first one that you will be able to use once the lifetime deal goes live. So I've got two accounts here that you can see, and you can see the apps. Currently there are no apps, but I'm going to launch one just to show you the stacks. I do have a couple of stacks, as you can clearly see here. That's pretty much that. So let's say you wanted to actually deploy your REST API. You'll see that it's actually quite simple. Here you can choose the AWS account that you want to deploy to. I'm just going to leave it as it is, because it actually automatically selects the first account that you've added. And of course, at the bottom, you'll always see a tutorial just to explain to you how to use all of this if you're not familiar. You don't have to go to the advanced screen. If you want to, that's fine. Here you can choose the actual region. I mean, you can use the region where you want to deploy your app. So as you can see, there are like 30 regions available or so on AWS. I usually launch in Tokyo. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but let's go here. And the default branch that it's going to be deployed to is the master branch. So what does that mean? It means you can actually, when you launch an application from your stack, so basically that's your code, you can have like unlimited branches, unlimited versions of your application. So you can launch it to multiple times. And while your developers work on one branch, your completely different branch is actually in production, and your users are using this other branch. So once you're happy with let's say new features that your developers have added, you just merge these two branches, and everything that your developers did is now in production, and your users are using the new features, right? And here it tells you what's the source for this specific app, which code is going to be used. So yeah, we can basically just go and launch this and say, this is my create API, right? And yeah, once you're ready, you can just click on deploy app, and it's going to be deployed in a couple of seconds. You just have to wait for a while, and you can clearly see it says your app has been deployed successfully, so that's fine. You just go here to the apps, and yeah, what you can see here is the number of your AWS account, where the app has been deployed, and when it has been deployed. So just click here. So the first thing that you can see here are some like basic details about your app, like the name, the ID, and the person who created the app, and when it has been created. So the next thing are the services that are actually launched with this app on your AWS account. So here you will actually have the IDs for this for these specific services. So the app is actually still being launched, still being deployed on AWS, and once that's done, they will appear here. What else? Yeah, you can clearly see the region that you've selected and the branch, the name of the branch for this app, and the account, and of course the stack. This represents actually the stack from which it has been launched. So if you remember, in one of the previous episodes, I actually said that the code from which we launch this application, right? So basically, it's going to be the API one that we've just launched. This here is going to be completely copied into your AWS account, and it's right here. So once we're actually, some stuff that's still in the works are these tabs here. So for example, on the API tab, you'll be able to define the endpoints, right? The routes to your API, for example, when you want to add a new user, add some new articles, or whatever you want, or delete them, and so on. On the database side, you'll actually be able to see all your data from the database here and edit it in real time. The functions are actually going to allow you to validate the data and do some processing. Once you define those, you'll be just able to add them to your endpoints, and so every single one of your endpoints is going to do some data processing. And the last one is the actual pipeline, and as you can clearly see here, your pipeline is actually what's deploying your application. And you can see it's currently still being deployed, right? It says that the status is in progress. The build is online, so basically that's fine. And the repository is also online. At some point when you're done deploying and you don't want to use your app anymore, the first thing you have to do, you should click here and delete it. Once all the backend services, right, everything that's deployed on AWS is deleted, you can then click here and delete your app as well. So the app, like I said, is currently being deployed. Let's just refresh and see. Yeah, we can now clearly see the endpoints are being shown here. So this is your API. It's basically that simple. This is the URL for your API. This is the name of your Lambda function that's actually going to do the processing inside the API if you want to define anything. And this is the database that has been launched on your AWS account and the name of the table. The cool part here is actually you can go directly from here to your AWS account and see all of these services. You can do the same thing from here as well. So you can actually see your pipeline. If you just click here, you're going to be directed to your AWS account, and as you can clearly see, this has finished like 2 minutes ago. So this pipeline just finished 2 minutes ago. This is your pipeline. You can see this is all successful. Let's go to the build. That's the build. It just finished 3 minutes ago. And the repository, the actual code. So let's just compare. Yeah, as you can clearly see, this here is basically the code from the GitHub. It has been copied over to your account. So as I've said several times already, you can basically just create as many apps you want with CodeSmash, but even if you decide to cancel your subscription. You can still change everything on the AWS side because you have the code, you have the build pipeline, you have everything. So this is always going to be available to you. Let's have a look at actually the services that have been launched. So when it comes to your services, you can also have a look at every single service that you have here that has been deployed by this app on your AWS account. So basically that's going to be the API gateway, the Lambda function, which is basically going to do some processing if you want inside the API, and the DynamoDB, which is the database where your data is stored. So if you just click here, you'll be able to see that this is your API. If you, on the other hand, go to the Lambda, you'll be able to see that the Lambda is right here, and also the DynamoDB table where your data is stored is right here. So like I said previously, you can launch unlimited apps with CodeSmash. It absolutely has no limits on the amount of apps that you can launch, and they're all launched on your private AWS account. And even if you at some point cancel your CodeSmash subscription, all your apps, all your data, and the build pipeline, including the code for your app, it's all going to be available to you on your AWS account. So there is absolutely no lock in whatsoever. So, compared to other services like Zeno or Supabase, once you stop paying the subscription, your data is gone. And yeah, you basically never have access to the underlying infrastructure, even though those services are also running on the cloud. But with CodeSmash, you basically have the access to the actual cloud infrastructure, and you can always change it however you want. So at this point, we can just go and test this API. So if we just go to our repository, we can clearly see that we have some examples here of basically how to add some data to it, right? You can add the data, update it, get the data, and delete as well. So the best part is you can actually, even though, like I said, we can go here and see the repository. You can change for now. For now, you will basically have to change how you want, which data you want to add to the database. Which routes are enabled, which ones are not. You will, for now, have to be able. You will need to change this through the actual code. You can easily just clone this repository and get the code. For example, new type. For example, if you want to add something, you will go to this here route, and you can add any route that you want, but basically we are here going to use this function called put item. We're going to add the IDs here, and just add one parameter, one variable, one column in the database called type, and we're going to add a name to it here. So basically there's a parameter called name, and that's what we're going to add to the database. So if you want to change this, you will have to change it through code. But at some point, I'm just going to add it here, right? So you're going to be able to add the routes that you want, and then do everything visually here in functions. But for now, it's code only. So if we, let's say, just want to test and see how the API is working, it's actually quite simple. We can, let's say, add something new. So let's say that we want to try out our API. So let's just click here to copy the URL. We can just paste it here, and as we can clearly see, we have the URL here. And if we want to add, let's say, a new item, so it's going to be something like this. And yeah, that's going to be pretty much it. Just type name, and as far as the name goes, you can just add whatever you want. We can say, let's call it Jimmy. Let's just copy this, and then we're going to just use curl. Okay, so let's say that we just want to add some data here. We can copy this and make sure that we use the terminal and just do a curl. And as you can clearly see, we're getting back an ID. So if we go back to the database, we just need to refresh. And as you can clearly see, we have a new row, and the data is here. It's basically that simple. There's really not much to it. We can also do, and get the data as well. You can just copy it from here. Okay, now so let's say that we want to get the row back and query our database for the data that we've just added. This is quite simple. So the only thing that we have to do is go to the database and get the ID, right? So we take the get format for our API, and it already has this ID. Just copy the ID of the row that we've added, place it here. We just copy it, and let's do a curl as well. And as you can clearly see, the type, it says Jimmy. Yeah, so we can basically get back the data immediately from our API. That's not an issue. That's pretty much it. So let's say that at some point you're done with your API, right? So you don't want to use it anymore. First thing you have to do is basically delete the services. So just click delete, and you can clearly see that it has started running now. It says here that it's deploying, which is true, but if we go to our service here, we can clearly see now it says that it's in progress. So what's actually started happening is that the build pipeline has been triggered by our delete command, and the delete pipeline is now deleting all the services that it has previously set up. Once that's done, we will actually be able to finalize everything and remove the app. So this probably takes a minute or so, and once that's done, you can just, like I said, remove the app, and that's it. You will not have anything left on your AWS account from this app. And the only thing that I want to make sure that everyone understands is that basically, even though your application has been deployed, you will not be paying for it. So this is a serverless type of application. CodeSmash is only using serverless services, which means you are only paying for what's in use. So even though your API is deployed, you will not be paying it unless it's being invoked and unless the data is being written to the database and so on. So yeah, this is incredibly cost effective. As compared to using like regular servers where you're just paying by the hour. And as you can clearly see, guys, at this point the pipeline is in the succeeded status. We can actually check it out here as well. If we go here to our pipelines, we can just check it out here. Yeah, it just succeeded, and it says just now, right? So at this point, this button is now enabled. It basically tells you can delete your app, which we're going to click. And once that's done, we're redirected back to the list of our apps, which we currently don't have. So we've deleted the only app that we had. And yeah, I think that at this point, this is pretty much it. Yeah, the stack editor is still here. This is something that I'm going to be working on later, right? So the only thing that's the most important thing for now is to get all these other custom apps working, so you can basically just go and build your app by simply launching and deploying apps on your AWS account. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. So thanks for watching, guys, this time, and I'll talk to you next time.